Notice the difference. In one position, you have 29 words, and thanks to those 29 words, you cut out the world of experience with those categories, and therefore you see the 29 kinds of snow. In the other position, snow is different combinations of ice and liquid water, and so some snow is more solid than others, other snow is more compact than others, other snow, there are different types, there are 29 different combinations of the liquid and the solid, giving you different kinds of snow, some more dry, some more compact. And because you have to interact with your body and the snow, walk on snow, survive storms of snow, build igloos with compact snow, tell your kids, don't eat the yellow snow. Because the only way that yellow snow could have got yellow is if someone peed on it, right? So you kind of have to tell your kids, hey, wait a minute, kids, don't eat the yellow snow because you're eating someone else's piss. If snow is such an important part of your non-linguistic life, of your activities, in your everyday life, you build, you hunt, you track seal traces or seal footprints in the snow. You do all kinds of things with snow. Well, when you do all kinds of things with snow, you end up with many synonyms for snow. And the synonyms, in order not to be eliminated, begin to acquire subtler shades of meaning until you end up with 29 words for snow. Now, this is not only for Eskimos. Skiers, particularly seasoned skiers or winter sport fans, have about 7 or 8 different words for snow. So it's not just Eskimos. It's anybody who has to deal with snow in different conditions. So again, the question is, do the words come first? Or does the non-linguistic practices of touching, seeing, hunting, building come first? And then the words come later to help those practices. A Kantian would say the first, a Humean would say the second. For Hume, the subject emerges as a crystallization in a field of raw intensities. Intensities of color, intensities of sound, intensities of texture, intensities of aroma, intensities of flavor, intensities of temperature, intensities of pressure. It's too cold, it's too hot. The water on top of me, I'm a scuba diver, the water is too much pressure. The water has too little pressure. Any kind of intensities, given structure, not by classifications, but by habit and routine. That is, by habit and routine practices. By action, by habitual action, by routine action. It's an entirely different theory. Language does not even appear here. It's a theory in terms of intensities. So when I see a bright color red, when I'm watching a sunset, I'm seeing a bright color red that I would see even if I don't have the word red. Even if I never heard of the concept red, I see that. Just to, again, continue with my examples. There's a tribe in Africa that's been well studied by anthropologists that only happens to have 2 words for color. They just simply speak of dark colors and they speak of light colors. Basically our black and our white. So the question now is, because they only have 2 words for color, do they see in black and white? I mean, that is what would follow from this position, right? They only have two categories for color, dark ones and light ones. So does that mean that they see in black and white? Well, if you're a Kantian, you would have to say yes. If you're a Humean, it doesn't matter how many words you have for color. You see all the colors that all of the rest of us see, because we are directly bombarded and impinged upon our senses by these raw intensities. And when anthropologists have gone to see this tribe of Africa, there's a very famous case of an anthropologist went there. I don't know if you remember, but before the computers and before Photoshop, colors for graphic designers and other artists used to come in the form of letra set, little squares. They were kind of like samples of colors, and you would buy paper of a particular color by going with your little sample. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Those samples still exist when you buy rugs or carpets for your house, and they show that little sample of the colors, or when you buy tiles of different colors, or when you're when you design dresses and something like that, you see the samples of dresses of different textiles in different colors. It's samples. So an anthropologist went to see this tribe that only had two words for colors, and designed a test to see if they could see the difference between red and blue, between yellow and green, between purple and orange. And it was a well-designed test designed to eliminate all kinds of other possibilities. And it turned out that that particular African tribe could see all the different colors that we see. They just didn't have any use for the words.
But how did they speak about the differences?
Well, because now they could be pointing at the samples, right? The anthropologist would learn to ask questions simply, pick the two samples that are more different than the others, right? And so you would show a yellow sample, then a yellow-green sample, and then a blue sample that was completely different. And I would ask those two guys to associate the two that seem more similar and take apart the other one that's not similar without using words for color. And inevitably, the guys would associate the two yellowish ones, put on one side, and immediately put the blue side on the other side. It turns out that they don't have any need for words for color. All they need to associate is darker colors, blues, purples, dark reds, and so on, from brighter colors. Yellows, light oranges, light blues, and so on. And that's good enough for them in their lives. They don't need any extra words, but that doesn't mean that their very experience is being shaped by it.
So
yeah.
One more quick question.
Yeah.
Is it that Merleau-Ponty or something, when they talk about the red, and if we all described the red on that glass of Coke, we would all see different reds. One would see a cherry red, one a blood red, according to our culture and where we come from. And although it's just one red, we all have a different idea of what that red is.
That is true, and I'm going to get to that point in a second, because, for instance, my father happens to be a painter. He's much better artist than I ever was. He's, a real good watercolor artist that really captures, he never made it as an artist because he never understood modernism. And in the 20th century, you couldn't be a realist artist and become famous, but nevertheless, he's excellent at realism. He'll capture photographic likenesses of things. And I know that he can see more colors than I can see, because he shows me two reds, and he goes, "Do you see the difference?" And I go, "No, they look the same to me." "Well, no, this has more blue, and this has a little more yellow in it." Now the question is, does he see more colors because he has more words for colors, or because seeing is skill? Just like listening to better sound. A good musician can listen more sounds or distinguish subtler harmonics than an untrained ear can. And so the question is, does your seeing different colors depend on the training that your eye has undergone, which is different than words, right? Because training, I'll get back to that one, but that is my answer to that question. But I'll just a second. Let me just take this one. Yes.
So.